What if I told you there is a single family one you've probably never heard of, that may be silently pulling the strings behind the world's biggest events, from wars and economic collapses to the rise and fall of entire nations? Stay till the end, because I'll show you how this ultra-powerful dynasty has remained hidden in plain sight, using influence, wealth, and secrecy to maintain control across centuries. Now, this isn't some random conspiracy theory about lizard people or shadow governments. This is about real history, real power, and a real family one whose legacy can be traced back to the banking dynasties of Europe, particularly the Rothschild family. The name itself sparks debate, and while many associate them with wild internet rumors, there's a very real and fascinating story behind how they rose to dominate global finance. Back in the 18th century, Mayer Amschel Rothschild started building a financial empire in Frankfurt, Germany. But what set him apart was his strategy. He didn't just grow rich in one place. He sent his 5 sons to major European capitals: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, and Frankfurt, effectively creating a transcontinental banking network at a time when news traveled by horse and ship. Through this move, the Rothschilds were able to fund both sides of wars, underwrite entire governments, and control the movement of capital across borders. For example, during the Napoleonic Wars, their intelligence network and ability to move funds faster than anyone else gave them an almost godlike power over outcomes on the battlefield. Nathan Rothschild, stationed in London, famously made a fortune on the British stock market by receiving news of Napoleon defeated Waterloo before the British government. That one moment cemented their reputation as financial kingmakers and, some say, the true rulers behind the scenes. As time went on, the family's wealth grew exponentially, and so did their influence. They played key roles in the funding of the Suez Canal, the formation of central banks, and even the rise of global corporations. But what's most fascinating is how they did all this with almost zero public attention. While monarchs and politicians came and went, the Rothschilds stayed in the background, rarely making headlines, yet always remaining close to the centers of power. Unlike the flashy billionaires of today, they understood that real power lies in silence and anonymity. They invested in assets that generate power: central banking, gold, real estate, and influence over media and politics, not through direct control, but through carefully structured financial dependencies. Over time, their family motto, Concordia, Integritas, Industria, or Harmony, Integrity, Industry, was less a slogan and more a coded message about how to rule quietly. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. The modern-day financial system, with its complex web of global institutions like the World Bank and central banks, still echoes the Rothschild blueprint. Their descendants may no longer sit in front-page headlines, but the wealth and connections they established haven't disappeared, they've just evolved, scattered into trusts, foundations, and holding companies that continue to shape economic policies and global decisions. Some even argue that many of today's financial crises and recoveries are still indirectly influenced by the structures this family created. Of course, this doesn't mean they sit in a dark room pushing buttons to control the world, but it does mean they laid the foundation for a system where a tiny elite, whether Rothschild or not, disproportionate influence over how our world works. And whether you see them as villains or visionaries, one thing is undeniable: they mastered the art of long-term power. They thought in generations, not quarters or election cycles. They knew that staying out of the spotlight meant staying in control. And in a time when we're so focused on celebrity billionaires and tech moguls, it's easy to overlook the real power players, the quiet dynasties that built the systems everyone else plays in. So, the next time you hear about a financial meltdown, a sudden shift in global policy, or even the creation of a new currency, remember, the architecture for that move may have been drafted centuries ago by a family who understood that the most effective way to rule ... is from the shadows. If you found this fascinating, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts or theories, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the untold stories behind the world we live in.